Race fans, welcome back to Haas Talks. Like I told you, a special episode, as this has been a guy that's like on my radar, kind of like my fangirl list of fellow commentators, content creators. From FloRacing, Tyler Burnett. Tyler, dude, thank you so much for sitting down and chit-chatting with me for a little bit.
Privilege. I'm super excited to be here. I watch your stuff, and this is actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be here.
Now, you yourself have been around racing quite some time. How did the racing bug bite Tyler?
So I grew up 2 blocks from Limaland Motorsports Park, in the town, a little town called Elida, around the outskirts of Lima, and just became a big sprint car fan. They run 360s weekly there. Well, they did when they do race. They don't like to race too much anymore, but
right.
So 360s, and then of course Fremont and Attica was only 40 to 50 minutes away from me. So 410 sprint cars up there. So just kind of grew up around it, just hanging around the track and hanging out with people, and just caught the bug pretty easily.
So were you ever like, man, I want to race? Like, did you ever go to mom and dad and be like, can I get a go-kart, or can I get a race car?
Oh yeah, we didn't have any money, so that was never really a possibility. But at the same time, I played a lot of other sports. I played travel soccer, travel hockey, and so I think racing was just kind of, my parents were never really into racing, so I kind of got it from my uncle, who was, he drag raced, and he did some dirt racing too. So it was kind of like my uncle and I's thing, and so my mom and dad really never got involved too much in racing. So when I say, give me a go-kart so we can go run at Cridersville, it never really happened. So I got my passion. Well, first off, I was a race fan, but then I started, creating content and announcing and doing that sort of thing. And I'm like, I can stay involved with the sport without being a race car driver, and it's been pretty fun.
Right. So you make mention of announcing and content creating. When was it that you you initially started getting into the motorsports on the media side of things?
So I did some work with a race car driver by the name of Darren Long at Limaland. He was a good 360 racer. He would go to Knoxville and run well there, and he ran with the NRA Sprint Invaders. He was a track champion at Limaland, and we just did some videos for fun, with actually Andrew Bowman, who is one of the crew guys for Brad Sweet. He's a national multi-time national champion and a Knoxville Nationals champion too. He and I would just record videos at the track and give updates on Darren's stuff, and we just had fun with it. So we did a little bit of that. We did some for Sean Dancer, who was at Limaland. But I guess my first big break was I really got involved in online sim racing on R Factor.
Okay.
So I started my company. It was called Dirt Sim TV, and we had.
You're Dirt Sim TV?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So Brett Wheeler worked with me, an Australian who he's still going in the online world with iRacing and doing a really good job on his own platform. But he worked with me. I had Keith Fitzgerald, who was in Atlanta, Georgia, who was phenomenal. Kind of doing the producing and stuff like that. I think Chaz worked with us for a little bit too in the sim racing world. So we really kind of were one of the first sim racing broadcasts for R Factor, and then I actually was offered to announce at Waynesfield Raceway Park in town there, just outside of Lima, and that's when I was just like, I can't do the sim racing anymore. Let's go real racing. So I went to Waynesfield, announced there for a couple years, was kind of like their PR guy. It was really fun. We had the Hewitt Classic, which Larson won one of the years when I was there. Of course, Ohio Sprint Week and the All-Stars would come through there, so that was really fun. And then I went to USAC the year. So after 2 years at Waynesfield, I went to USAC and announced a year with them. So that's kind of just how I got out of the sim racing world and started to get into real racing.
And then it just starts to snowball from there. You've done a lot of great things over the years. So you worked for USAC for a year, and then what was the next step? When let's kind of give a time frame of was this 2015, 16? What was the year-ish?
So I graduated from college in 2014.
With a degree in what?
Sports management. I had 2 majors: sports management and broadcasting. So electronic media and broadcasting. So I did a lot of radio broadcasting for the college. I worked at a local television company. West Ohio Sports Network was in Lyman. We did a lot of high school football games and stuff like that. So I really started to enjoy broadcasting in that side of it. So USAC was the summer of 2013. Actually, Jason McCord's in the pit area tonight, and he was actually the race director at USAC at the time. And he actually introduced me to beer. I think that's when I started drinking beer, was because of Jason McCord. But no, it's been fun to catch up with him. But yeah, so that was the summer of 2013 was when I was with USAC. Then 2014, I graduated in May, and I was offered a job with NASCAR, and went straight to Charlotte as soon as. Well, my now wife, we packed up the car on graduation day, and as soon as we graduated, got our diplomas, threw them in the back, and went straight to Charlotte. And I was there for 7 years. I was with the Motor Racing Network. I was like a director producer, so producing a lot of content that you heard on their broadcasts, and kind of giving the announcers reads and telling them when to take breaks and stuff like that. That was me for 7 years. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of good experience working with the NASCAR radio networks, and now I'm with Flo. So that's kind of how it's been.
We roll back to that graduation day. That's almost like a scene from a movie, like a Warner Brothers. Like, we graduated, and then like the theme song comes on, and then you just throw the diploma in the back seat and just hit the road and go to Charlotte. Being a part of NASCAR is kind of a bigger scale, and it's kind of more a corporate world and everything else. You compare that to dirt track racing and what you're doing now with Flo and the content that you create, which is outstanding. Like I told you the other day, it's just something different that nobody else really does, and it takes something special to really grasp what you bring to the table for Flo, as far as telling the stories and showing the things behind the scenes that not everybody gets to see. Is that the big difference between what NASCAR is and what we are dirt track? And do you see NASCAR maybe taking some hints from dirt track racing now?
Yeah, I think they really have started to lean into they call it grassroots racing, which when I hear them say grassroots racing, I'm like, it's really cringy, because like this racing isn't like for a lot of people, it's not a step up into NASCAR, right? Like, a lot of people professionally race on dirt, right? I mean, Donnie Schatz is always going to be a professional sprint car driver and one of the best race car drivers of all time. I don't really look at it as like, when I hear grassroots, it just seems like it's like a stepping stone to NASCAR, which sometimes I don't feel that way. But, NASCAR, it was a great experience there for 7 years. Don't get me wrong. It was a phenomenal time. I learned a lot. And the reason why I took the Flo job was just to challenge myself. I was doing a lot of radio, and I wanted to get back more into video and kind of, I guess, becoming my own boss per se. Creating the content that I want to create, and the world is going streaming, right? I mean, that you do it here, and it's just kind of the new way. But content is king right now, and that's, I think it's going to stay that way. And being able to create it and having fun and getting back to what I used to do, as far as, running around the dirt tracks and hanging out with friends and creating whatever we want to create. That's just what I wanted to do. So I'm excited about it, and it's been fun. I think I've been here a year and a half already. So it
feels like a long time. No, it feels like a long time because of the content. You have so much content. Whenever you come into an event, you did the KKM Get Back Classic last year at Millbridge Speedway. I kind of fangirled over you there. And what was weird was I got flown to North Carolina to help announce the Millbridge, the race at Millbridge, and I walk in and I see you and Dylan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I watch those guys on freaking Flow. Like, I've listened to those guys' podcasts. Like, I've seen those guys are like media gurus. Like, you guys are smart guys. How do you approach an event to like prepare for like what content you want to create, or is it something where you're like, you get here and you're like, that's cool, I'm gonna go talk about that?
Mm-hmm. We do have somewhat of a plan going into it. We have a few meetings coming into it, like what we want to tackle, what we want to accomplish. The main goal coming to the Give Back Classic here at Port City was to get stuff for the shootout and get stuff for the Chili Bowl, because this race directly ties to the Chili Bowl, which is Flo's biggest race. And the Tulsa Shootout's Flo's second biggest race. Well, I guess, the Dream and the World 100.
Rigsby might have something else to say about that, but let's talk about open wheel stuff, right? We'll keep us separate. We'll keep them separated,
Yeah, I am an open wheel guru, but in all seriousness, the shootout, it was huge last year, and it really, what happens in the Expo Center is something that is extremely special, and to have it, we just went there today. It's 15 miles away from here. It's just, these guys you see here tonight are going to be on the biggest stage, what they call their biggest stage in micro racing in the Tulsa Shootout, trying to, accomplish, 7 golden drillers. So we came here with the mindset of trying to get a lot of that stuff, but also we've supported Keith since he started doing the Give Back Classic, which was an outlaw kart race. I guess it's been 4 years now because it took 1 year off. At Millbridge, where Jesse Colwell won that. It's just a really cool event, It's like Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
It's like giving a golden ticket out to, a kid who, probably would never get the opportunity ever to do something like that. Now, they probably have too much money on the line now because now a lot of people are going to take the money, I'm guessing.
Dude, that's a lot of money.
$15,000 for a micro race, but you could take the ride and then take a $5,000 check too.
Yeah, you still get gas money either way, right?
You get a lot of chili pies there.
That brings me to my next point. You wouldn't be able to tell by looking at us, but I'm going to speak on your behalf. We are food connoisseurs, and you have done several notes of the chicken wings at a racetrack in Ohio with Blake Anderson, the one bite test, and you in an interview with Sunshine, you ask him, where his go-to food is, what his favorite food is. So I'm going to spin it on you and ask you your favorite racetrack food. Is there like a staple where you got to try? Like every racetrack has a walking taco, so you have to try the walking taco at every racetrack. Well,
I thought about. I'm going to see if Kyler wants to. I need to try out the taco burger. Is that your guys' famous thing here?
So
or what's the famous thing here?
The famous thing here at Port City Raceway that everybody goes to is the chicken strips, like a chicken strip basket with gravy. Because we have the white gravy. You can't go wrong with white gravy, right? But since Shane and Jen have taken over, we have been exploring new things and different things. You can go to any racetrack and get a corn dog.
Oh, yeah.
But can you go to a racetrack and get mini corn dogs and have 7 or 8 of them that you can dip in cheese or mustard? No.
No.
You can't at Port City Raceway. Can you go to a racetrack and get mini tacos and dip them in cheese or whatever you want?
I have not seen those.
No. So we have those here. So there's things that Shane and Jen have kind of helped us introduce to our race fans and kind of trying to change up the menu a little bit to give it that staple-like taste of what you want and everything else. Whenever you arrived here at Port City Raceway, is this your first time visit?
My first time here. And well, first off, your office is in a bar, which I'm pretty jealous about that, right? But I've already done the Turn 5 bar review,
right?
Which I got me a Blue Hawaiian.
Yeah.
That was good. That was really fun. I mean, I'm a drinker too, obviously. That's probably where I get most of my weight from is drinking beer.
Well, I say it's
liquor.
water weight because I drink so much water. It's water weight.
But I've visited the concession stand a few times. Of course, I got to get the walking taco. And a walking taco just seems to be like a dirt track thing. I think every racetrack is getting that now.
Yeah.
Which is, Fremont has a good one, especially because they have jalapenos. And I put a
Douse
ton of jalapenos on there. Yeah, I think you were asking me about my favorite food. I think I probably have to say the pizza burger just because it's my home. Eldora. I mean, it's famous. But if you eat the pizza burger at Eldora, this is a trick that Kendra Jacobs taught me: was get cheese curds, get some marinara sauce, and put it on the pizza burger. Yes. Then it becomes the best of all time.
That sounds so good. My mind has been blown. So I've never been to Eldora. It's one of those races racetracks that's on a bucket list. Knoxville, things like that, which people are like, what? You haven't been to Knoxville? Are you serious? No, because we're usually here. And last year, so this year actually, Shane went and raced it, and I was going to go with him. But then I had race fans here that were like, oh, man, I wish we could go. And I'm like, well, all right, I'll stay back. I opened up the bar, and we watched and cheered.
I heard it got rowdy
here.
in here.
It gets crazy. We were snapping Shane and Jen the whole time and sending them words of encouragement and whatnot. But a ton of fun. Whenever you travel up and down the road, are you like a snacking guy, or are you like, man, just get me to my destination? I'll get my food whenever I get to the racetrack.
Well, it seems like we like to stop at some restaurants in the area on the way to tracks, and then. We've been hitting Buffalo Wild Wings every night right by our hotel because not because of COVID, everything's closed down early, right? So we get back to the hotel and we finish up our work and beat up stays up until 1, so we go over there and have a few beers or whatever. But I do like to save a little room for something at the track, You know, just
Got to.
because you got to try something. At every track. I tell you what I really liked here so far was, well, not only the blue Hawaiian, of course, but the slushy machine. You don't get slushy machines at dirt tracks, really.
No.
The blue slushy, man. I mean, if I had
It's
some
on
Tito's
point.
or something to put in there, that'd be outstanding. But like, man, that's some good stuff.
So whenever it comes down to racing, are you one of these guys that you prefer more the Bullring stuff, or do you like the bigger tracks where they can let them breathe and let them eat?
Depends on where it is. I love Port Royal.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite racetracks in the country. So beautiful. Steve O'Neill does a great job promoting that place, and we go there for the Tuscarora 50 and a lot of big races with the All-Stars. And so if it's like, that's my favorite big track probably. I mean, of course, Eldora is home. But Bullring racing is just, it's better. I mean, close, I feel like the smaller tracks will, even the playing field, if you will. And it's the same way like in NASCAR. Like if you go short track racing, it's going to even the playing field more than going to an intermediate track where you can out-dollar people,
Right.
So, bigger engines and stuff like that will help you a bit more at the bigger tracks. Now, everyone seems to be pretty dang close in sprint car racing right now with their performance and engines and equipment. But going to short tracks, Limeland was a quarter mile. That's where I grew up at. Waynesfield was around the same. It was a little bit smaller. But that's definitely the bread and butter. The Fremonts and the Atticas and those and Gas City and Kokomo. Kokomo is one of the best tracks in the country. Those type bull rings are my favorite to see the sprint cars eat.
So this being your first visit here to Port City Raceway, a two-part question, kind of. What was your initial thought whenever you pulled up and you saw the facility, and what have you thought about the racing so far this week?
I'll start with the racing question. It's phenomenal. I love seeing these guys bang the boards. There's some extremely talented race car drivers in these micro sprints. The Gavin Boschels, the Brent Cruz, which I saw those guys race at Millbridge a lot. But to see them, this place is a little bit bigger than Millbridge, so it's really fun to see them, ride the rim. Of course, Dason Pursley is one of the best there is right now in micro sprint racing, and Keith's cars, they roll around here like midgets.
It's nuts, isn't it?
They're great.
Absolutely insane.
It only took him a year to build the best micro in the world. But there's a lot of, like, Chris Carroll is phenomenal. He's really fun, and he won his first Golden Joker last year at the shootout. We've been kind of following that story. I've always been a fan of Frank Flood's. Always.
Man.
He's the Donnie Schatz of micro sprint racing, right?
I'm sorry. I got to disagree with you on that one.
Really?
I'm just not a Frank Flood fan.
Why?
I'm JK. Me and Frank are buddies. No, hi JK. Hi JK. You were about to be like, what? Are you kidding me?
He's a phenomenal interview too.
He's passionate about the sport. And that's what kind of separates him from other people, and that's what a lot of folks don't realize is, yeah, the dude wins a lot, but he actually cares about the sport and about other drivers, and you can tell that now with the way he does the development program.
Yeah, so just the talent here is tremendous, but the facility, I feel like Shane, does he get on a golf cart at like 6 a.m. and just start picking up trash? Like, you never see a single piece of trash around this place.
Here's the thing about Shane that I learned really quick is his OCD is capitalized, italicized, underscored, and bold. Like, he is adamant about it. Like, we'll race on our weekly show. We'll race the Saturday night. Sunday morning, like, I get up and because I live right down the road, I get on my golf cart and I come down to make sure gates are locked and everything else. And there'll be a gate wide open and I see his truck parked and he's out blowing off the concrete. I'm like, dude, it's Sunday. Take a day off. He's like, no, I'll just get it done right now. Get it out of the way. And then seeing the way that we have, he's opened all of our eyes. Kenny and I are full-time employees here at the racetrack, so we spend a lot of time here with Shane, and he's opened all of our eyes. So now we see a little piece of trash on the ground, we're like, I'm going to get it before Shane does. It's kind of a game, I'm going to clean that before Shane gets here or whatever, and try and take some of his workload off. So I really do think he does sometimes just gets up and he's like, I'm going to go pick up some trash.
Yeah, it's immaculate. The place is very clean. The restrooms are super clean. Like, that's what I've noticed the most so far. We've already talked about the concession stands. They're tremendous. It's in a really cool area. It's like an industrial area, so easy to get to, and, very close to Tulsa. What did I say? It was like 9 miles or something to the Expo Center. So it's in a good area, and it's a good place. It's good for midgets, too. I mean, the USAC midgets and the Power I midgets, they put on good races here, too. Obviously, this place is a purpose-built micro track, but the midgets do pretty well here too.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot of places. You've gone a lot of different places, had some really cool jobs, been a part of some really cool events and things like that. If you had to give people like 3 events that you will not ever miss again, if you have anything to say about it, I almost feel like I know what one of them may be, but I want to know what your top 3 events are, whether it be sprint car racing, midget racing, anything like that. What would 3 events be for you?
Well, Chili Bowl Midget Nationals, of course. That's probably the one that you were thinking of. You cannot miss that race in the winter. There's nothing else going on. Why would you not come to Tulsa and go to that race? It's a great party. You see a lot of people in the industry, but you also see some phenomenal racing. And what I've been to, this is going to be my 5th maybe. And every Saturday morning I go out there and the sun's coming up and I just watch every single race because why not?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why not? It's you can literally watch racing all day long on Saturday and watch these guys climb through the alphabet soup, and it's a cool deal. It's the atmosphere is hardly rivaled anywhere. So I would say the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals is P1. A lot of people are gonna dislike me for this next answer, but I have to do it because it's it's my home, the Kings Royal. I would definitely recommend going to Eldora for the Kings Royal. Well, of course, this year Roger Slack and those guys put on 2 of them, which was amazing to see Tyler Courtney, who's one of my buddies, win his first, and then Larson wins his first Kings Royal as well the same day, defeating the Outlaws. They didn't touch victory lane all week. That was awesome. But yeah, the Kings Royal is a huge, massive party. And then to not piss people off, the Knoxville Nationals. You have to go to the Knoxville Nationals. It's the best sprint car race in the world. It's the capital of sprint car racing. You know, Kendra Jacobs is an Ohioan, but she'll tell you to go to Knoxville before Eldora, of course, because she works at Knoxville and does a great job promoting that place. And but go there. They got amazing concession stands. You will hardly ever see a speck of dust at that place, which is amazing, right? It doesn't get very dusty. It's just amazing racing, and then the storylines on Saturday are just always incredible. So those are the 3 events you have to go to if you're a dirt track racer and you love dirt track racing.
Now, my final thing in closing that I always like to ask guys to close out the show. Again, you've been a part of the industry for a really long time, and there's guys that watch Haas Talks, and they. Some of them may be race car drivers. Some of them may be crew guys. And this is why I like to bring different people in on my show to kind of give an insight of things. Being a media guy, for somebody that may be watching at home, some young kid, maybe 15, 16 years old, that wants to get into the media stuff and everything else, what kind of piece of advice would you give somebody that wants to get into the industry, that's trying to break through and trying to figure out their path in motorsports?
Well, I didn't get very good grades in school, so you don't really need to do that. Get as much experience as you can doing anything that you can, right? I worked in radio, whether it be high school sports. I worked in television, high school sports. I pretty much didn't turn down very many jobs. I mean, I took the internship with USAC. I worked at local tracks with Waynesfield and Limeland. Like, get as much experience as you can, which will then in turn help you grow your network. You'll meet more people. And the more people you meet, the more they're going to help you out in the long run and down the road. And, and I would say, apply for everything. Don't sell yourself short and try to achieve what you, in your mind, you think is going to be your path, and just go for it. That's what I would say.
There you go. Put your mind to it. Do whatever it's going to take. Apply for everything. That's been Tyler Burnett right here on Haas Talks.
Performance Electronics, custom electronic solutions. From design to manufacturing, let us put your ideas in motion and become your company's full-service electronics manufacturing experts. Performance Electronics.